Hello, I'm Pastor Don. Welcome to Outback Adventures. We're going to the northern Kimberley area of Western Australia and then down into the Great Victoria Desert to the Warburton Ranges area. We've got a long way to go, so we'll move on. We'll start at Turkey Creek, which is Warman community. That's what it's known as in Aboriginal terms. And there on one of the rocks at the roadhouse, you see the frilled-necked lizard where they've painted it there. There's some beautiful creek crossings as you go through the northern Kimberley area. After good rain, some of those can be raging torrents. We come to Doon community, and another sign announcing that there's no alcohol. This is a dry place. You know, alcohol has caused a lot of problems in Aboriginal communities, and it's so good to see communities standing up and saying, this is a dry area. There's a little boy with his friend there in Doon community, and often as you drive through the Kimberley, you see these big Brahman bulls heading across the road. It's quite something. The scenery is awesome up in the top end of the Kimberley. It's really beautiful. This is the floral emblem of the Northern Territory. It's the Sturt Desert Rose, and of course it also grows in the north of Western Australia. But look at this scene, and then under different light you see the scene again, and there's some picturesque scenes along the way. This area is known as the Grotto. It's a gorge on the way to Wyndham. And you can see steps that lead right down into the bottom of this gorge. And when you get right down there, there's a pool of water, there are ferns growing. It's quite different vegetation than what's up on the top where it's quite hot. Well, we arrive at Wyndham. Now, this town is 3,351 kilometres from the city of Perth going the coastal road. So that's a long way, isn't it, from the capital of Western Australia. When you drive into Wyndham, the first thing you see is this huge concrete crocodile, and it's massive. There are also big Aboriginal statues. You can see my wife standing in there, but even with this lady sitting down, I'm not as tall as her. Quite impressive statues, even big kangaroo there. And at Wyndham, they have a boab tree that began to grow before Jesus was born in Bethlehem. Quite something, isn't it, to stand at the foot of something that is so old and yet it is still living. It's a massive boab tree. Well, here we are at the Five Rivers Lookout. And from this lookout, which is one of the best in Australia, you see a gulf with 5 rivers pouring into it. And it's the big mud flats that are in the surrounding area are quite something to see. I visited Denise Counsellor and Derek when they lived up in this area. By the way, Denise is a student at Mamaruffa Bible College, the Adventist Indigenous Bible College in Perth. You know, the flowers, the vegetation is beautiful, lovely frangipani flowers. We'll head a little further, well, not really north, because from Wyndham we now come down to Kununurra, but it's a little further along the highway. And Kununurra is a very modern town, but there's the road leading in, and an aerial view of the Ord River running through the Kununurra area with the township and some of the agriculture there. Kununurra is situated right near the Argyle Dam. This dam is an inland sea, 1,000 square kilometres, and it has 8 times as much water as is in the Sydney Harbour. And so it's a massive big area. This is just a small little section of this huge dam. This is the Ord River Diversion Dam, and it brings the Lake Argyle enables them to irrigate the plains there and to grow, in this instance, sugarcane And also to one of the big products now is sandalwood. And apparently these sandalwood depend on these other trees for their growth, but this is a big industry. And here out in the bush you see the kapok tree, and that's the kapok flower, and the early people that came to this area used to stuff their pillows with this kapok flower, and it made a soft pillow. Well, you see these fellows up there in this area of the world, but Leo Wright and Colleen came here as volunteers during their last year at Mamaruffa College. They were students there and they wanted to go to an area where we had no Adventist church and where they wanted to encourage the people. Well, they would have services in their home each Sabbath, and sometimes a few folk would come along to join them. We had one baptised member there, this man, Doug Anderson, been there working for a number of years. But they met up with a lady by the name of Dolly Thompson from Munthamar community. And Dolly said, I have a real burden for people in another one of the communities around this area. And she said to Leo and Colleen, would you come and help me to preach to these people and to run meetings for them? And so Leo and Colleen every Friday night would go out to Mirama community, and there they would sing songs about Jesus. About 20 children would come along and about 20 adults, and there Leo would preach them a really good Bible message. And after the service, then they would give them some soup and refreshments, and it really was a lovely setup. You see the children all enjoying their soup and so on. And when I visited Leo and Colleen, they suggested I come and show some pictures and tell some stories. And so I took my sheet that I use as a screen, and there was no place really to hang it, so we put a four-wheel drive in there and hung the sheet on the back of the four-wheel drive, and there told the stories of Jesus. And it's really lovely to see so many eager children coming along and learning these stories and learning these biblical principles. Well, you know, something else exciting happened. This man and some of the others from Keldirk Station said to Leo one day, out at our station we have a church, we have musical instruments, but we have no pastor. We would like you to come and be our pastor. Well, unfortunately, Leo wasn't able to fulfill that request because of time, but it's wonderful to think that folk are asking our Mamaruffa students to do such things. Certainly the prayers of the people that prayed for Leo and Colleen before they went to this area were wonderfully answered. These are Lionel and Edna McHale are another couple of our friends there in Kununurra. Well, exciting things are happening near Lake Argyle, and the Lord is touching the hearts and the lives of men and women and preparing them for the kingdom of God. Well, when I come back, I'm going to take you out into the desert area in the Great Victoria Desert and take you to 6 remote communities.